Dear men, are we okay? Obviously not, and I need to preface this with some things. I am beyond angry. Right now I am a little sedated, so that I don't scream. If you say not all men, you are one of the men. If you so far as to make any kind of excuse, you are a rape apologist, plain and simple. I will do my best not to throw insults left and right. I want the world to be a better place, and without talking about this, that will never happen. I'm not here to win anything. I want to engage and listen. So I'm mostly addressing men in this video, because we don't listen to women, obviously. There is a systemic silencer put on women. No matter how much they scream from the top of their lungs, we are being murdered. Systems remain silent. It shouldn't even be a question when a woman says she's been essayed. False accusations are so marginal as compared to the really countless reports from women who say they've been raped, that just mentioning this as an argument is, again, nothing more but rape apologetics. I really don't know what else to preface this with. Just sit down and listen. And please, I'm begging you, listen. Because this is fucking important. And for all non-men, you might want to sit down for this too. Two things have happened, more or less the same time. Well, a lot of things have happened, but let's focus on 2, max 3. I'm gonna start with a study that was just released on sexual aggression towards women. Isolate, intimidate, repeat. High rates of sexual force against women are reported when young men given anonymous surveys. This is taken from the Journal of Interpersonal Violence. Everyone already knew that men aggression towards women is prevalent. The rates had to have been high. In the US alone, I have yet to hear from a woman or doesn't know any other woman who hasn't been sexually assaulted. And it's just the ones that actually open their mouths about it. The numbers would be far higher if, I guess, every woman spoke up. And even higher if women in religious households realize that they too can be victim of sexual assault. There's a million caveats, interconnected factors, circumstances, etc. But the one thing that brings them all together are that the perpetrators are in the vast majority and disproportionately cis men. There is no data that can deny this. And some random anecdote about someone somewhere being falsely accused doesn't mean shit in the grand scheme of the pandemic of violence against women. Oh, I know there's gonna be backlash like, well, you're not getting laid by doing this, or that's not true because, or the aforementioned not all men. I've heard them all, and I don't care. You don't hear women, maybe you'll hear me. When men were given a promise of anonymity, over 95% of respondents admitted to some form of sexual assault against women. Over 95%. The sample was taken from men who in the last 2 years have had sexual contact with someone who is not a romantic partner. Over 95%. If you ever thought women are exaggerating, think again. Despite everything we've been trying to do, media campaigns, education policies, etc., there hasn't been a decrease of violence against women since the 1980s and 1990s. Anything that is a non-consensual sexual act obtained through some form of physical force is assault, and any sexual act obtained through verbal manipulation or pressure, etc., is coercion. And it's rape in all cases. If you are unable to give an enthusiastic yes to sex, anything you do is rape. It's that simple. Anything that happens without an enthusiastic yes is rape. Despite the general decline in interpersonal violence, sexual violence has actually increased in numbers between 1990 and 2019. Studies already show that many acts of SA are deliberate, which isn't the same as planned, but planned is also here, goal-oriented and frequently collaborative. It entails coercing the victim into having sex, sometimes including a social setting where peers know what is happening. For this study to happen, it was imperative that the men involved were granted anonymity. Yes, we do these kinds of studies on people already convicted, but that tells the story only among other convicted people. In order to have greater understanding of the problem, we need to fully understand the scales we are facing. There was a need to get information from people who are out there in the wild. The data was taken from men aged 18 to 34 in spring of 2023. The questions had to be formulated in a non-judgmental way so that men would be more willing to tell their truth. The majority identified as straight, 88%. The majority was from the US, 85%. Over half were white, 58%. Almost half completed at least high school level education, and 30% had an undergraduate degree. 2/3 were working full-time, and 49% were in a relationship. Out of the various strategies, 95% report using at least one to have sex. On average, men used around 9 strategies mentioned. Now we come to a very difficult thing for me personally. I want to share as much of this as possible, but at the same time, I don't want to share any specifics to avoid giving anyone any ideas. So I think I'm just gonna settle for anything you say that isn't true to get sex is coercion. And anything beyond that point is worse. Like I've already mentioned, and I really want this to sink in. Anything that isn't an enthusiastic yes is rape. There's no arguing with this. There is nothing anyone can say that can change this. It's just a fact. What's worse is the general consent to these types of things happening. Almost half of the men reported that they had a friend, partner, or a group of friends help them achieve their goal, which is sex. And, in this case, rape. And obtaining sex through manipulation by oneself or with the help of others is rape, and people enabling this are just co-rapists. I'm not even sorry. If you help manipulate someone to have sex, you are a co-rapist. The older someone was, the more strategies they use, and the more strategies they use, the more successful they saw themselves when it came to getting sex. These men think they are better than others who are less successful. Let's make this clear. They have a goal. Sex, apparently by any means. And the more successful they were, the higher they thought of themselves. And the men knew that the women didn't want to have sex with them. As they describe, 49% of women making excuses, 24% saying plainly they don't want to have sex, or trying to get out of men's reach, 15%. I think it's blatantly clear that men will do anything to have sex, which is sick and disgusting. No, this is not the entirety of the world population. No, this is not all men, obviously. Yes, these are men in the wild that have admitted to using assault or coercion, but this just shows how insidious this whole thing is. And then the same men go cry about a loneliness epidemic. Fuck you and your epidemic. I am doing this and talking about this because this needs to be addressed. And I had some other stuff written here. I had to write this whole thing down and have a script to read off of. Because the thing is so insidious and disgusting, it makes me actually sick. No matter what your favorite podcast bro will tell you, they do not care for you. At this point, anything I wrote down feels like completely meaningless and pointless. February, 62 million views on the Rape Academy. March had over 80 million views of the Rape Academy. A few thousand users in a Telegram group where people share experiences on how to rape using drugs, raping their partners, sedating them, and abusing them. A few thousand members of a single Telegram group chat. Last year we had another group discovered with 70,000 users. So don't you fucking dare tell me that the problem is only around a few thousand people worldwide. Because groups like that are hundreds, if not thousands. It is vile and despicable. And I am sick to my stomach. And it is all men until it is no man. All of us are responsible for this. All of us are responsible. Somehow we have lost along the way a way of thinking of us as a collective of individuals. If you think that since you are not raping anyone, that you're not the problem, you're wrong. You are the problem. Every time you do not react when someone catcalls a woman, when someone whistles, someone makes a remark about some woman's body, each time someone sexualizes a woman and you do not react, you are the problem. We all are. Until every woman is safe, it is all men. Because it's always a man. Are you still thinking that this is blown out of proportion? How are women to trust anyone but themselves? If men have online rape academies, are you for fucking real? Are we really in a place where it is so fucking... Are we really in a place when we have to make a discussion of rape is bad? And watching rape videos is bad. Like, what? The Epstein files have not been released. And the only person who had anything to do with it that is actually in jail is a woman. Funny how that is. The president of the United States is a fucking pedophile. And the president of my country is cozying up to him. What is even the world we're living in? Actual rape academies. How disgusting this is. Look, I get it, guys. I get it. It's lonely and scary, but it's lonely and scary only because we made it lonely and scary for ourselves. Period. Like, if the only way you can get any kind of attention is from a group of podcast bros that all want to do is sell you a course on how to pick up women, and then they tell you to degrade women in any and all means possible, I don't think it's a spoiler, but you're going to die alone and miserable. Women without men are far better off. Plain and simple. And it's thanks to us. My brothers in Satan, I cannot stress this enough how absurd it is to actually say it, but rape is not the way to get that connection that you are lacking. Devoiding oneself of empathy and treating women like objects to be attained, conquered, etc. is beyond sad. I can understand what you're going through, how lonely it can get, and how that impacts your mental health. I do, I really do. And I'm really sorry you are going through it. I know the feeling of being completely lost and not knowing what to do, to fill that void of loneliness that's eating you from the inside. But ask yourself the question, is forcing sex on someone really the way to fill that void? Is rape the only way to find intimacy and connection? I would beg to differ. Out of the multitude of scenarios, you have chosen to rape someone or watch someone rape someone. When people say go outside, touch grass, find community, it's not empty words. Find people who will lift you up, not keep you down, and further fossilize the views that were sold to you for the money you don't have by some rape apologist bro from the manosphere. They're grifters, all of them. They only want your money because they themselves know how lonely they are. They just realize how to monetize your misery. My guy, you have a miserable life, and I understand that, but the bros that teach these techniques are less than garbage and are not worth your time. Find people who will lift you intellectually. Start reading books, find a hobby. Try to sit alone with your thoughts and realize what it is that you are truly lacking, like truly. I know challenging your beliefs is difficult, especially when you're in a group of like-minded dudes who are all equally miserable. But you can have a better life, a fulfilling life, not being a rapist. Which is a sentence I never in my life thought I would be uttering at any point. You wouldn't want to be raped, right? So what makes it okay if you do that to someone else? The BBC uncovered an online rape academy with 62 million hits per month. I won't be naming anything not to give anyone any ideas, but what in the fucking fuck are we talking about? A rape academy. This is plain evil. I can understand someone who is so lonely they fall for the manosphere bullshit, but this is pure evil. And by understand I mean I really understand, not justify, not doing any apologetics. The manosphere is one thing, but that rape academy is a whole different cesspool. Anyone who even tries to do any apologetics here is dead to me. I'm not joking. Well, it's not 62 million users, it's just blah blah blah. Shut the fuck up. How many hits is bad for you? How many is actually bad? Where will you draw the line?